That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Comic Reviews. My name is Sid Part 2. Or no, that's not my name. You can call me Sid Part 2, but my real name's Ian. That's this thing always distracts the hell out of me right off the top. Anyway, we are here today to discuss some comics. I got a pretty good sized week this week, but nothing overwhelming. It's funny, I needed to drop books so that I could, just get these episodes up faster. And then I drop, 2 or 3 books. And what I do, I add 2 or 3 books. Such a pain, guys. Such a pain. But I'm excited about stuff. There's a Tom King Mr. Miracle book. And I'm kind of in love with Tom King at the moment. So what can I say? I got to have that. And then there's Aquaman run, a story arc I want to read in Aquaman, so I added that. Don't expect that to stay unless it just blows me away and makes me fall in love with Aquaman. It's a possibility. What else am I adding right now? I know I added something else. These things. Oh, Silver Surfer. I added Silver Surfer because hearing Cap talk about that book really, really made me want to play it. So yeah, I'm all over the place. I'm adding all kinds of stuff, making moves all over the place. Oh, what else going on? Raw Love fan audio drama, nothing really new to report. Still just working on, production side of things. Did some sound design. I'm going to do some weird thing to get sound effects for a character, and I'm considering recording that and posting it as a video just because I know it'll be bizarre. So I don't know, maybe I'll do that. Let me know if you think you'd be interested in seeing such a thing. It'll just be really weird looking. Otherwise, not a lot going on, just plugging away at stuff, working on stuff for the wedding. Really excited about that. Got my gifts from my best man and my groomsmen and myself. But yeah, just plugging away at stuff. Who's here? Dr. Hologron. Hi, Dr. Hologron. And Joel Davis. Joel asks if I'm still trucking through Series 9 of Doctor Who, and I am. I'm having a really hard time with it. It is not good. It's not bad, but it is hard to watch. Anyway, Alab fan, I think you can go over there. People will see your hand, and that'll be enough of you. Oh well. Got 3 people here. I think that is plenty. It always seems that more people come. I should probably be scheduling these a bit better than I do. It's just hard to get a time that's good to start because it's based entirely off what I do when I get home, what I have to do, if I'm going to eat before or after recording, so on and so forth. So anyway, no further ado, let's go ahead and get into this, starting with Steve Rogers, Captain America, number 17. This is one of those issues where I kind of sort of trust what Nick Spencer's trying to do right now. I kind of see what's going on. Maybe. Again, my consistent issue with this book has been, if I were only reading the issues, there would be things that piss me off that would annoy me, but I would be annoyed in the way I feel the book wants me to be. Reading this, I tend to trust that he knows what he's doing in this story. Listening to Nick Spencer talk, I don't think he understands what he's writing. I've never seen something that is more dependent on how it ends. This is a pretty interesting issue. In it, there's a reporter apparently who was who did interviews with Cap during and after the Civil War. not the American Civil War, but the original, thus, Marvel event, the Civil War with Cap and Iron Man clashing. This reporter is now in the Hydra Empire and has been granted an exclusive interview with Cap that is being broadcast live to the nation. And in it, they're pretty much just discussing stuff, which is honestly the kind of thing I like. It's just fleshing out this universe. And there's some pretty unforgivable stuff in here that's really hard to read. And I don't like it. What's this line? In his first exclusive interview since taking control of the United States of America, the Hydra Supreme, Captain America Steve Rogers. Thank you for having me, Sally, but before we begin, I'd like to get the record straight on something. I didn't take control of anything. I was appointed by the United States government as emergency interim executive by way of the SHIELD Act, which they never would have invoked if they'd known your allegiance to Hydra, and that would have been their mistake. Okay. How to put this? He's playing fast and loose with a lot of things in this. There's no like perfect one-to-one, but the closest one-to-one you can draw right now is that in a lot of ways, Donald Trump is Steve Rogers in this book. This charismatic leader that people feel they could trust. And so that little exchange kind of feels like a commentary on a system that appointed a loser, with the whole electoral college only victory. So interesting little note there. And then we have him talking about how people are no longer afraid, or how people were living in fear until he's coming to power. Now he's saving people. And then we have literal concentration camps. This is really hard to look at. I want you to sit with that for a sec, because that is really hard to see that, Captain America is literally implanting concentration camps. And he has a really interesting discussion, or he has a really interesting point here that, again, it's pretty clear commentary. Let's be clear here. We're talking about the byproduct of an alien race, one with views incompatible with modern society and a history of violence against humanity. And people are being asked to live next door to that, accept that, put their lives and the lives of those they love at risk. So I don't think Hydra's temporary solution, which is to keep these unfortunate victims of an alien manipulation in a secure facility until we can devise a better plan, is an unreasonable one. That's a pretty clear metaphor for immigration. And literally, you've heard people like Richard Spencer and others on the right talk about immigrants change a nation, and they're not part of a nation. They don't have our views. They don't share our thoughts. And so that's a pretty clear tip toward that. And this is something I really liked about Spencer's run back in the beginning, is he would take these real issues and do the very comic book thing of putting them in a comic book context. So instead of immigrants, we have Inhumans. And that is good comic book writing, in my opinion. And again, on the page, I quite like some of the points he's making. Even if I question doing this to Steve Rogers as a character, there's some strong social commentary in here. I'm going to skip ahead. There's more stuff to talk about. I don't like this scene with Magneto. I could go on about that, but whatever. There's more stuff to talk about here. But at the end of the last issue of Secret Empire, Las Vegas was destroyed, and the order was essentially given by Steve Rogers. And this reporter and Steve are going back and forth talking about all the things that he's done. And she says, "With all due respect, sir, that's nonsense." Excuse me? We both know manipulating an economy and provoking war are the two oldest tricks in the book when it comes to consolidating power. The real test is how you treat the most vulnerable among us. We'll have to disagree on who has been vulnerable here. Prison camps, media censorship, profiling, millions of people back to work, the country finally safe? What about the erosion of bedrock principles, personal liberty and freedom, equality? What you had before was anything but equal. Now I look all across this country and I see people proudly saying, "Hail Hydra." And she shoots back, "Except the ones in Las Vegas, you mean?" And she's carted off and dragged away. And she said, "You can't do this. You can't just arrest a journalist for asking a question. People will find out about this." And he says, "I'm sure you're right, Miss Floyd. I imagine people on Twitter will be furious." And this is the part that pisses me off about this book. I don't even care if I damage it. I'm sure people on Twitter will be furious. Okay, Nick Spencer. So voicing your concerns isn't enough. Elected systems that put people who should not be in power are a bad thing. You say both of those things in this issue. If I read even slightly between the lines, you advocate for both of those things in this comic book. But I know Nick Spencer's real life views are such that we should not act through violence. We should work within a system. You've set up a system that is inherently corrupt where the only way to overthrow it is through violence. What is the ending of this going to be that makes any goddamn sense with what your ideals as a liberal are? That's the part about this book that drives me nuts. I don't understand what he's saying. I don't understand what kind of point he's going to try to make by the end of all this. And more importantly, was this worth doing to Captain fucking America? If for someone who has apparently very little ability to introspect their own viewpoints, but loves to spout criticism of others. And don't get me wrong, I love Nick Spencer's criticism of the right. He is on point with how he criticizes the right. His solutions, his politics are friggin' worthless. After that, he has no idea what a solution is. He just wants to bitch, as far as I can tell. And that's... I don't know what his answers are. And that just gets me. It's like he makes this point in there where he says, the media is brainwashed people and spouts lies, blah, blah, blah. It's very, it's very much in line with with a lot of what has come out of Trump's camp. There's no way around it. That the media can't be trusted. You just have to trust me. You just have to believe me. Make America great again. Hail Hydra. And yeah, that's true. The media does continue with a very simplistic, apolitical viewpoint that is damaging. The solution is not to go far right or far left. The solution is to be very critical of both sides. It just, I don't know what the hell he's trying to say. He makes the point that people have suffered, not having jobs or whatever because people like you didn't care about them or don't pay attention to them and don't offer solutions for them. Okay. What are yours, Nick Spencer? Moving on. Black Hammer. Number 9. I was a little worried that this was just going to be another full-on origin book, especially with the way the last issue ended. I really didn't want that to happen. Anyway. Sorry, I was reading comments, got kind of caught up. Let me start over. Black Hammer, number 9. So yeah, I was a little worried that this issue would be pure flashback, and after the big reveal at the end of the last issue, I really, really wanted to see more of that. So Lemire's kind of like, I was like, oh no, Lemire, I love your flashbacks, but I want the present. You can't give me a cliffhanger like that and not give me the present. So Lemire luckily didn't do that. He does give us a little more of the present. Not like any more plot development, but just more like immediate aftermath kind of stuff. And we get how Talkie Walkie and Colonel Weird met. So Colonel Weird, I love the art. It has this perfectly retro comics feel to it. The spacesuit, everything about the character design. Look at that fucking ray gun. It's got this really classic comics feel to it. Anyway, Colonel Weird's out in space and he gets a distress call from a planet that has no life. So he goes to investigate. He gets there and finds out that all the life on the planet is robotic and hostile toward humans, except for Talkie Walkie, who he hitches a ride with to get away from the robots. And then we go back to the present, literally picking up seconds after the last issue ended. Anyway, so Colonel Weird has to deal with just this awful thing he's just done. And as if shooting his friend through the heart wasn't enough, Lemire makes us just sit there and watch as he breaks the poor guy's neck. Oh, it's so sad. And then it gets even sadder because then we find out more about Talkie Walkie, who was the least developed character as these two adventure together. Oh, I want to talk briefly about the art. I love some of the panel work on here. This is just a trick that comics use from time to time, and I can never get enough of, which is to put art inside of a giant sound effect. So I like that. There's some interesting work on lettering across this 2-page spread, and I had a little bit of trouble following the lettering. You do that. Excuse me. You do that thing occasionally where you like go to the wrong panel or the wrong part of the sentence. But this 2-page spread I found really interesting because it's Talkie Walkie explaining how he sent out, or why he sent out the distress signal. And I thought that was a nice little throwback to comics, old school comics from the 60s and 50s. Talkie Walkie says, he knew about Earth because he watches a lot of television. And Colonel Weird says, haha, funny, but no, seriously, how do you know about Earth? And he goes, no, I watch a lot of television because the television signals from your planet reached me, and I listened to, and I watched television, and that's how I learned about Earth and realized I wanted to explore the universe. Love that. That is great science fiction writing in the same way that that JFK encouraged comic writers to do back in the 60s. This is a little more 50s, but there's still that 60s twinge to it. So I thought that was really cool because that is actually a thing. If you were to travel like, X number of light years away, you could catch old episodes of TV being broadcast for the first time. No, because I was about to say something stupid and then realized how stupid that sounded. I was about to say it wouldn't be feasible to do, but if somehow we had a probe far away from us, it could potentially catch the signals and send them back to us so we could get the original broadcasts of things that have been lost due to fires of archives and stuff. But we don't have anything that far out, and we couldn't send anything out now because it would need to move faster than the speed of light. Anyway. So I really like the science fiction side of this that has that perfect feel for the classic, let's put some actual science in this silly kids book. And then there's just some gorgeous art on here. We get a view of Talkie-Walkie's city that he lives in, his robot city. And I love that it looks kind of like the inside of a television. Jack Kirby was very, very famous for, taking apart televisions and electronics and stuff to draw things like mechanical devices and comics. And he just would draw all the tubes and the weirdness. So that's really cool to see. I really, really like this cityscape. And it looks like a circuit board or an old television with just all the tubes and the wires, and particularly right here, those look kind of like switches. Anyway, and then Talkie-Walkie talks, and so you read. I'll see if I can do this in reverse, but you read from here up to here. There's an interesting use of eyeline, and I like it. Read from here up to here, over to here, back down along those word balloons, these word balloons up, this word balloon, these word balloons up, that word balloon, that word balloon, did I get that right? Okay, no, these word balloons up, then slide down, then that word balloon, up to this word balloon, over, and then down back across the page. That's not something your eye naturally does, because you read this. If you read in the West, that's not something you naturally do with your eyes, go from left to right across a page. So it's a really impressive use of just swirling around and getting you back and then across again. That was really cool. It made you spend more time on the page. It was really neat to see. Also, I believe there's a bit from, I want to say that's the Honeymooners. Little image from the Honeymooners put in there. That's kind of cool. Then there's some more stuff in the present, just as Colonel Weird's kind of breaking down, and it turns out he might actually know how long they're supposed to be in this town, or even if they're ever going to be able to leave the town, which is kind of neat. But then he disappears, and he's just haunted by the memories of what he's done and the memories of his friend. So this is a case where I feel the flashback actually really, really worked in the story, and it usually does fairly well, but this worked just excellently on a single character level, and I really like that. Colonel Weird's a neat little reference to classic sci-fi adventure comics, and it's neat to see that taken to such a harsh place. And then at the end of this, we see in their first meeting as they escape Robot Planet that Colonel Weird and Talkie-Walkie jump on his rocket ship and take off. And then Talkie-Walkie is dead in the present. But then a light comes on somewhere, and Talkie's voice is there. And then that light spans out, and we see Colonel Weird's rocket ship in space, floating, with Talkie apparently operating it somehow. So again, really, really cool stuff going on here. I'm really, really excited to see where this keeps going. Never getting tired of this. It's damned enjoyable every issue. Every time I see it, it's never enough. I always want more. Not gonna throw the book this time. Okay, let's go ahead and continue on with Venom number 150. Let me show y'all something. That is way too expensive for this issue. That is a ridiculously overpriced comic book. Just as long as it doesn't end in a church, well, have I got news for you. It kind of sort of ends in a church, except not really. So how to put this? Oh wow, this got renumbered to just straight up 151. Interesting. So that's the first story we get, and that is the main story of the book right there. I want to show you this. That's a problem. Charge me $6 for a book, and it's multiple stories. The story actually advancing the issue, not much more than half the book. That's a problem. The other stories could advance the book, the overall story of the book, but they don't. We get a story that we don't really need, that I don't feel is going to come back in a big way. I don't know. Looking over it again, it might, but it's kind of weird. We get how the symbiote got lost and ended up on Lee for a short page or two. Really does not feel like that big a deal. Then we get a bunch of views of all the covers that Venom books have had over the years. Really don't care. And then this, the worst one. Just get this story. It might be a reprint. It's hard to tell if it's a reprint or not. I gotta assume it's a new story. I've got to assume. Yeah. Friend leader, I bought trades for less. Yeah, I was cheated. I don't know. And then this story, it's called Flashback, and it's kind of colored in a classic way, which makes me think it might be a reprint, but just the fact that it says Strickland Mall, Queens County, New York, years ago at the very beginning, I mean, that could easily be added, but I'm tempted to say it's a new story and they just did a retro look to it. But Venom's hiding out in a mall, waiting to see if anything happens. A robbery does happen, and he plans to ambush Spider-Man. But when he sees the robbers are planning to kill people, he steps in and does this whole lethal protector thing. Then the guy who he tried to save kind of goes apeshit and proves himself to be a coward, so Venom kills him too. That was the entirety of the story. So that one, that little end story, worthless. The story before it, pretty worthless as well. Opening story, pretty good. I don't love the notion that this is just going to be Eddie Brock back in the suit. I really, really liked Lee as just this perfect foil against the character. And the symbiote has a really weird character in this that is very contradictory to how he has been written otherwise, but that's not the worst thing ever. So this opens up, and Venom is trying to break up some thieves, but turns out the thieves aren't like terrorists or evil or whatever. Guys, I'm trying to do a review. You cannot post hilarious stuff in the live comments. Oh, I gotta read this.
Ah, you think the webbing is your friend? I was born in the web fluid, molded by it.
There you go. I hope you enjoyed. Anyway, so Venom's trying to like break up these guys he thinks are terrorists, but then it turns out they're just like corporate espionage. They're just like corporate thieves trying to steal stuff for like gain, but they don't plan on killing anyone. Everything they have is non-lethal, and then ultimately they're just trying to steal like a genetically engineered tomato. And because that would be incredibly embarrassing for Eddie to have, taken them down for, the symbiote kills them without Eddie realizing it. And that's incredibly interesting, but super out of character for what the symbiote has been lately. And I'm not saying that's a huge problem right now, especially with so little story, which is the biggest problem with this book. That's not a huge issue, but important, but if there's no explanation for why the symbiote initially was like, with Lee, didn't ever want to kill anybody, gave Lee a bunch of trouble for trying to kill people, got free of Lee like it wanted, though it got abandoned for a while, then why now that it's back with Eddie would it want to kill people when Eddie doesn't want to? That's weird. So Eddie, conflicted with all this and the fact that he just committed murder, goes to a church to just try to collect his thoughts and talks to a priest. And this is the part I love. Mike Costa. How much does it cost to go on the Costa? I got some Groucho Marx glasses around here somewhere with the nose. Yeah, Mike Costa. I should keep those handy for the next time I make a joke like that. I hope you all really, really appreciated that. So anyway, I just really like this conversation that Eddie has with this priest. Eddie, I recently got back into a relationship. This is a good thing? Oh, yes, I've been dreaming of it for years. And now it's happened, and it's not as you'd hoped. Things have changed. I went through so much to get this back, so much pain, and now I did something I thought I'd never do again. I thought those days would be behind me. Your partner made you do something, and you now regret it? No, I'll never regret this reunion. I couldn't go on living without it. We're together now, but I don't know who we are together. You don't do what I do for as long as I've done it without seeing a lot of trouble. Not physical troubles like you've seen, but worse troubles maybe. Troubles of the heart and the soul. If someone loves you, my son, they don't force you to do things you don't want to do. Venom symbiote. Don't like this man, Eddie. You don't know what you're talking about. I know obsession when I hear it. I know what love turns into when it's used to justify pain. It turns into something ugly. Really, really interesting. You know, I'm trying to remember if Akuma Ranger raises a good point. Didn't Eddie break guy's neck to get the symbiote in the last issue? I'm trying to remember if he broke his neck or if he just knocked him unconscious. And damn it, I put the books away. Fuck it, I'm gonna go get it. Professionalism. Professional comic reviewer, Ian. Yeah. Holding my Captain America book. See if I give a fuck. Let's see here. What did Eddie do in the last issue of Venom? La da 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 da. I think he might have just put him in a sleeper hold. Because, like, you definitely see him, you know, take out his neck and there's like a sound effect and everything, but then there's this panel. So I think he might have put him in a sleeper hold, and then just tied him up afterward. So that's consistent enough. And Scorpion shows up and they fight, and it's kind of a cool fight or whatever. Don't particularly care. It's got an interesting ending where Eddie and the symbiote work together to defeat him, but they're both exhausted afterward. And Eddie kind of falls asleep and lets the symbiote take care of him. And when he wakes up, he's back in the church, blood-covered hands, and the priest that was talking about, oh, it's not love if it's making you do something you don't want to, is dead in his arms. As the symbiote says, no one will pull us apart again. So that could be really inconsistent with the symbiote as a character, especially after everything that just went through with Lee. I'm not entirely sure, though. I'm willing to give it some rope. I mean, I've given Nick Spencer way too much rope as is, but I'm willing to give this story some rope just because circumstances surrounding the symbiote's capture make me think that there is, at least on some level, a justification for the way it's behaving right now. But we'll see how that goes as we continue on. Philip Culton says, did I miss something? When did Eddie stop seeing the symbiote as everything wrong with him? See, I don't know. I hadn't been keeping up with Eddie Brock. I wasn't expecting Eddie Brock to really play a part in this, but he is now. And maybe he will start seeing the symbiote as everything wrong with him. And I just ripped my book. I ripped my $6 book. Damn. That's a really steep price. I would have gladly taken a $3 version, or that's not even $3. I would have gladly taken a $2 version for just the actual story. If that was allowable, I will take the discount option, please, because that's kind of, there's not enough happening in here to justify $6. This is really a hard sale. I'm not saying skip this issue, But if you don't want to spend $6 for what I just described, I mean, I described the whole story for you, the whole story that matters. I wouldn't recommend this issue just because that's a really steep cost, and it's probably not worth it. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to Wonder Woman number 23. And I hadn't realized, but Greg Rucka is leaving this book at issue number 25. Okay, Greg Rucka. Bye, I guess. Thanks for turning the continuity completely on its head and then jetting. That's cool. We finally, though, get an answer to what the hell is going on with Ares at the end of the year one storyline. Because thank God, that was so confusing. It wasn't really Ares. It was his sons posing as him, trying to get information on where Themyscira was because Ares has been held in Themyscira. Thank God. Anyway, Aphrodite binded Ares, and he is held in Themyscira so that he could not draw power from war. But this isn't like the animated Wonder Woman movie version of Ares, where he's like a prisoner. He's there willingly because the chains are bound with love. And that's an interesting idea. It's Aphrodite's love that keeps him from going to war, and Themyscira stands as a place for a society that shuns war, as what a society could be if it just gave up on war. And they're the guardians of Ares in this new ultimate continuity for Wonder Woman. Again, the thing that troubles me the most about this trumps everything. Oh, man, this trumps everything. This puts itself over every conceivable origin for Wonder Woman that's in the main DC universe. And that's weird to do. Like, technically, this makes anything done with the origin after this not canon. Because it's just Wonder Woman falling for the lies again. And that's why I don't like it. That's what I don't like about this. And he's yet to really justify that decision for me. Yeah. So anyway, the Amazons are just getting friggin' trashed by Ares' sons as they come for him, because they either want to release him so that he can be, war again, or they want to kill him so that they can take his power for themselves. And after hearing this, Wonder Woman realizes what she must do, and she tells Ares, "Let your sons in." So he does, and they see Wonder Woman sitting there with the lasso, and they ask her, "Where is our father?" And they say, and she doesn't respond. She's really just sitting there all serene and calm. And they say, "Do you know what we can do to you? We can plant horrors beyond imagining in your mind. We can warp your very soul in a blinding panic. Say something." And as she holds the lasso, Wonder Woman says, "I love you." And then they screech away from that. "Liar, you are lying. I am bound by the perfect. I must speak the truth. All you are, all you have done, all of it, I accept it, and I love you." And through the power of love, she's able to love, forgiveness, acceptance. She's able to bind them with the lasso of truth so that they cannot be a threat. that's a good. I like that. That's well done. And then the mood is broken by a DC Looney Tunes ad. So yeah. Things kind of start to drop down, falling actions really quickly after that. Now that the Sons of Ares are there with him, they can be bound as well. And they're not a danger to the world. Let's see here. Izzy, Veronica Cale's daughter, is now complete, but she cannot leave this prison with Ares without becoming a faceless child again, or she can live on Themyscira and actually live out or live a life never aging. So begrudgingly, her mother accepts letting her go, and even though she'll never see her again, just because she knows that she'll get to live life. That's sweet. I like that. That's a good detail. And then Wonder Woman looks through the gap at Themyscira and sees her mother, Queen Princess, mother, my daughter. And Hippolyta says, "You always make me proud," and turns away. What do you know, guys? A cover that actually has something to do with the issue. So that'll be what's like the next issue is about, but this concludes the big plot with Ares. That's all settled, more or less. So I'm curious to see where it goes from there. But damn. Philip Kelton wants good Wonder Woman stories to read. Rekka's run is pretty good. It's just this weird continuity king thing that he's got going on that bothers me. What else is a good Wonder Woman story to read? Gail Simone's stuff is pretty good. I like The Circle. I thought The Circle was a pretty good Wonder Woman story. I really like Wonder Woman Earth 1. I know a lot of people have problems with it, but I think it is a really, really solid book. That's very, very just feminist philosophy shoved in your face, and it's very embracing. It's very embracing of what the original creator, William Moulton Marston, wanted to do with Wonder Woman, and a lot of things have ignored that, this included. It's not trying to go like it's a little bit, it's got the loving bondage thing going for it, but the more adventurous sexuality stuff not here in this. So when do you think he's going to fuck this all up on his run? I don't know. I'm pretty happy with what Ruka's doing. He's only got 2 issues left now, so I guess he's leaving out a high note. Just again, it's this weird my continuity is the one that matters the most thing that I really don't like. Well, this is an interesting thing to talk about, where the whole point of comics are you come, you have your say, you leave it for the next guy. And one of the things that drives me nuts in comics is when someone comes, they have their say, and the next guy doesn't like it, so they do everything to wipe it and just start over. And I get that people were not happy with New 52 Wonder Woman. I understand that. I get it. But there is a certain level of just having some kind of respect and admiration for what came before you, even if you personally do not like it. There are cases where this is certainly acceptable to do, and many people would argue that New 52 Wonder Woman was an example where it was totally acceptable to do, with what that did to the Amazons and to Themyscira and Wonder Woman's history. I would tend to understand where that's coming from if just not for the fact that that story still knew who Wonder Woman was as a character. By the time you get to the end of Azzarello's run, he understood who Wonder Woman was as a character. Did he do stuff that messed with the Amazons? Yeah, but there are continuity fixes to that. It was, even the beginning of the Finch's run was starting to go somewhere with long term. What are we going to do about the Amazons now that they've become so violent? That was starting to go places. And hey, you know what? Wonder Woman was peaceful on both sides. She was working to improve both sides, to make the Amazons the society that they said they were, and to make humanity better. I was okay with that. Admittedly, the Finches screwed it up by the end of their run and just clearly didn't care anymore. But it was going places. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue on and talk about I Am Groot, number 1. I mean, come on. How could you pass this issue up? Let's be frank here. I'll be Frank, you be George. 1 second. Hold on. Just bear with me. Okay, now, I'll be Frank, you be George. Cool. Anyway, I did not like Guardians of the Galaxy number 1. Or not number 1. I did not like the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie very much. It is probably the worst of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies to me. Volume 2 was fantastic. Volume 2 was a really good movie. I've thought of a plot hole. I don't really care. Guardians Volume 2, love it. And Guardians Volume 2 had Baby Groot. And then on the cover of this issue, they have Baby Groot. And Baby Groot's adorable factor is off the charts. It's pretty fantastic. Red Leader says, even worse than Ant-Man? Oh, yeah, much worse than Ant-Man. Ant-Man has a lot of predictable stuff in it, but, it's still like a consistent movie that is not unapologetically emotionally manipulative. Like, there's maybe some emotional manipulation in it that will be, that won't rear its head till the sequel, and it still makes the emotions real and stuff. But no, Ant-Man's pretty much just a basic movie. Like, I have problems with Ant-Man related to the MCU, but I think Ant-Man's pretty basic movie. Guardians has everything that actively annoys me about Marvel Cinematic Universe movies in it, and that pisses me off. Guardians Volume 1, really the only thing it has going for it is Groot and the soundtrack. A lot of the other stuff in that movie really actively annoys me. Not at all the case in Volume 2. I like Quill and Rocket and Gamora and Drax in the first one, but they're not enough to save that movie for me. If it hadn't been for Groot, I probably wouldn't have cared at all for it. Volume 2 really does work for me on a lot of different levels. I need to see it again, but it was damn good. So when I saw I Am Groot number 1 with Baby Groot on the cover, could not pass that up. Not for an instant could I pass that up. And I mean, just look at how adorable the art on the cover looks. Oh, that's so cool. Look at all the detail. It's so neat. I'm really excited for this. Open it up. The art's not bad. It's nowhere near as bad as this single image is. But that's if that were consistently the art throughout, I would be very disappointed. but immediately when you actually start reading the actual story, the art looks pretty good. In scene, a lot of the stuff works. That's an example of a poorly chosen Photoshop. Because that exact pose is later in the book. And I mean, the art on Groot is not great after the fact, but there's your poorly chosen Photoshop right there. The art in the book for Groot is not great, but it looks a lot better than just that one panel would lead me to believe. So it was okay. My main problem with this is just like it's mostly a Guardians of the Galaxy story than it is like just focused on Groot. It looks like that might not be the case by the time we get to the end of it. And Groot is kind of alone on a planet with just some guy that he's with, trying to figure out like what's going on. So I was like, really, no, it's Joseph Stalin, not Karl Marx. Anyway, so we got Groot like stranded on this planet. And so this is where the story's going to be, is Groot stranded on this planet, and there's some kind of weird threat that he has to deal with, and he's just a baby. So you get this, creepiness going on. And Groot's stranded, and he has to deal with all this. Welcome to Terminal. I am Groot. I am Groot. I am Groot. God, I wish just the cover artist could be drawing the book, because that's adorable. That, my friends, that is a poster. Isn't that just great? Like, all the baby Groot fans totally want this. So yeah, I think I'm gonna pick this up. I think I'll add this to my pull list, because of course I need more books on my pull list. There's some intrigue and some mystery to the issue and stuff like that. I'm not a huge fan of the art right now. The art in the book isn't as good as the art on the book, but we'll see how it goes. Here's hoping. I don't know. Nothing too big to talk about. Just, okay, this is all right. It's cute. It's fun. That's what it needs to be. So here's hoping. I'm not expecting any deep lectures on the meaning of life from this book. It'd be cool if it did that, though. Come on. Just explain to me how I am Groot is the meaning of life. Oh, Red, no, it's not in the MCU canon. It's just Groot's now a baby in the for the Guardians for whatever reason. Should I do all reviews now in the Groucho Marx classes? Heil Hitler. Oh. Red asks, why do comics keep doing this? Where they follow the movies? Because Baby Groot is adorable. What, the voice? Oh, yeah, use the glasses at all times and the voice. Okay. All right. From now on, all Geeky Gentleman episodes, anything posted on this channel, will be me wearing the Groucho Marx glasses and talking like this. Yeah. You see? Can't fool me. There is no Santa Claus. Grady Child says, Ian, I've been meaning to make a text review of BVS Ultimate Edition, but after what's happened, I'm afraid if I post it within, say, a month, I'm afraid I'll get backlash for it. How long should I wait? Dude, do what you want to do. Just don't be mean to Zack Snyder as a person. You can criticize his art without feeling like you're hurting him, no matter what personal tragedy he's gone through. Just don't, like, actively hurt him. Please show up to the next comic book poll party like that. Don't explain it to Cap, just do it. On it. These will now forever be a part of my desk, and anytime I have a pun to make, they'll be right there waiting. I just need to find a good place for them on the desk. For right now, that's good. Oh! Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the last book for this week, which is Batman Beyond, number 8. So again, this book has been pretty all right. Not great, not bad. Much better than the DC Rebirth Batman Beyond. Oh, excuse me. I like what we're told about the suit here. Terry is sure he can control the suit, that there's nothing wrong with it from what he can tell. But at the same time, Bruce keeps telling him, get out of it, get out of it. And the situation is just such that he is, kind of taken off in a jet plane thingy. Red makes a good point. Did this cover actually show something from the issue? Every cover should be like that. Like next week, Terry in the suit just making out. Yeah, totally. This cover actually does show something from the issue. Congratulations. But anyway, so the suit is dangerous, and the reason the suit is dangerous is it was a prototype made to overpower Bruce Wayne Batman's failing body. It was made to make sure the mission. And I love that they actually use the mission in here. That's cool. But anyway, so Bruce designed the suit with a very intense AI that could take over and block out pain and do Batman's job if the person inside the suit couldn't. And so he talks about how he fought a gang of guys called the Banes, which is just a bunch of guys using Venom. And, he used the suit to do it. And by the end of the fight, he busted a bunch of ribs and broken vertebrae because he wasn't fighting with any kind of self-preservation in mind. The suit's AI kind of overtook him. And it seems like it's going to do that to Terry. And that's interesting. I'll get this great little line. The past doesn't matter. All that matters now is that Terry is going after the demon. And I see no way both of them survive. That's cool. Of course, Bruce is using the term the demon here. So yeah, we get Batman Beyond versus the League of Assassins, which is cool. No problem with that. And there's a pretty obvious reveal coming up here. You will no doubt catch on to it. Bruce's internal monologue, the demon is my problem, no one else's. Really, really, the suit is just overly violent as it handles the League of Assassins for Terry. Yeah. The demon is my problem, no one else's. And then we have a line from Ra's al Ghul. I'll try to be Really, really subtle here. Ra's al Ghul says, welcome, pretender. Batman, Ra's, a shame that Curare isn't with you. I would have enjoyed punishing her for her betrayal. Your stooge might have killed her. For that, you die? Since when does Batman seek to kill his foes? Another indicator that you are truly not Batman. Bruce's internal monologue. Terry has no idea what he's walking into, how dangerous it is, that the demon is deadlier than he assumes, and not at all the man Terry thinks. He's far better trained, a master of numerous fighting styles, incredibly fast, smart, supremely capable, not older than me like Terry expects, younger. Notice that Ra's al Ghul is wearing a mask. Notice how I pointed that out in the last issue? Speculation was it might be Talia because of the whole body switching thing that happened in the cartoon show. 3 guesses. Oh shit, I skipped it. 3 guesses. I'm waiting for guesses. It's not really Ra's. It's not Ra's. Who is it though? Who is it? Who could it possibly be? Damien. I mean, that was a lot of build-up for a really obvious reveal. That is just a lot of build-up for a very, very obvious reveal. Like, there's 3-4 pages of stuff in, like, the issue last time of just, okay, do we really need this much space? Like, Jurgens keeps doing this. He keeps going, like, really obvious things, but, like, building the hell up out of them. And, like, you know, what's the rating on this book? Rated T for teen. Really? This feels like he's writing at a much, much lower level. This feels like it's being written more for kids, and that's fine, honestly. Batman Beyond was a kid's show. I have no problem with this being written for a younger audience, though the audience that wants to watch it are the people like me who grew up, or that wants to read it, rather, are people like me that grew up with Batman Beyond and now read modern comics. So I guess I don't really understand all the thought that went into that decision. Ultimately, though, it's just like, I'm cool with the reveal. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy to see what the hell Damien's been up to in the Beyond universe. You know, Comics Kid 2099. If you haven't checked out his channel, I recommend it. He does daily graphic novel reviews, and he was talking about the first foray that modern DC did into Batman Beyond in the comics recently. Right before New 52, they did a book called Hush Beyond, and he made a point, which is that it broke one of the cardinal rules of Batman Beyond, which was not to just do Terryverse modern versions of Batman's villains, to give him his own rogues gallery. And there were exceptions to that, but they were exceptions. And now Jurgens, what he is doing is just, okay, I'm updating the classic Batman rogues gallery for the future. I'm bringing those characters back for this. I'm honestly okay with that. Don't get me wrong. I am honestly okay with that. But at the same time, if you're going to do something as blatantly obvious as just, okay, here's this character that you already know and you can see coming from a mile away, if you have just any ability to understand storytelling, I don't know. I feel like you should work harder than that. My favorite Batman Beyond book remains the canceled one from New 52, not the one right before Rebirth, but the New 52 Batman Beyond book. That one got really good, took to some interesting places with some genuine surprises that really made me smile and go, oh, that's cool. This is a moment that made me smile and go, okay, I'm interested. I want to see where this goes. But it's not like a shocking, oh, that's really cool. So, I don't know. Damian Wayne is Ra's al Ghul, treating Ra's like a title, I guess. We'll see how it goes. Oh, sorry. Red Leader until he says, was the one with the 1,000 clowns? I don't know what you're talking about. Are you talking about like a video or something? Whatever. So what I am curious about, though, is how does Damian react to Bruce giving the mantle to someone else? Oh, okay. Red's saying, let me finish this point. How does Damian react to Bruce giving the mantle of Batman to someone else, someone who's not Blood? Because we all remember how pissed Damian was at Tim Drake in Batman and Son. I like that. I like setting this dynamic up. I'm really curious to see what if we go for what Grant Morrison did, where Damian starts filling Bruce's role to some degree. Like we have Batman in Batman Beyond. That could be interesting. I don't know. I'm interested to see where this goes. And excited. Okay. I think that's good on that issue. Okay, so Red's asking, was the one with 1,000 clowns the New 52 book, the one you liked? The New 52 book was an ongoing. It started, I'm pretty sure, just right with the New 52. I can't even tell you the first story arc. Night of 10,000 Clowns sounds familiar. I know like that is a story they did with Batman Beyond, but I wasn't sure if that's right before New 52 or in the New 52 run. But the entirety of that run between the main Batman Beyond and then making it Batman Universe or Justice League Beyond or whatever it was, all that stuff, it's a little messed up as far as any kind of sense of continuity of what's part of the actual universe and what's from the DCAU. All that's a little messy, but if you just go, fuck it, I don't care, it gets so much better. They do some really interesting stuff. Anyway, I think that'll do it for this episode of Comic Reviews, folks. I don't have a ton else to really say or add or think about too hard, so I think that'll wrap it up. Anyway, everyone, thanks very much for watching. Until next time, bye.